Nigeria's electricity industry has got a long history. From back in the days when it was popularly called NEPA, that is, National Electric Power Authority, to the unbundling into 14 companies and then referred to as PHCN, Power Holding Company of Nigeria, up until now when it has clearly become largely private sector driven. The challenge has always been more people to less power. As the Minister of Power, Works and Housing continues to tackle the problems, the lingering challenge of metering has remained daunting, which may have informed his visit to this meter testing station in Lagos.
Metering is not like the telephone where you just buy and you connect with your SIM card. It's a much more complicated equipment, and you saw the gentleman Ebodage showing how lines wiring should be done.
Every meter to be used in Nigeria, whether already installed or yet to find a home, is meant to go through this facility for a durability test.
The type test is that we are going to check the electrical property, the mechanical property, the insulation property, environmental compatibility. It's not that somebody is bringing a meter off the shelf from any part of Europe or Asia and that the temperature there is not compatible with us, that it can be used. And then accuracy, compatibility, accuracy check. Once this has been done, it goes through a climatic chamber to determine the durability, the humidity. Then it goes through the glow wire to ensure that that the materials they have used will actually stand the resistance of the current that is passing through.
Beyond the checks, however, the worry of most households is the availability of the meter, tested or not. How can these happen more rapidly?
Metering is a big issue. It's an issue that we hope to address more vigorously this year with regulations, open up the business to many more people so that we also relieve the pressure on discos so that they can concentrate on their core business, which is to transport energy. Their core business is not to supply meters.
From the 50s, Nigeria has had to depend on countries around the world for meters manufacture. Today, some entrepreneurs produce that locally. That in itself should provide the springboard for a more massive rollout of meters if the authorities get it right. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
Yes, indeed, we've got David Aderibigbe, who is a professor of mechanical engineering, to also speak on this matter. Thank you for coming this morning, Prof.
Thank you and good morning.
Well, having listened to that, we had some people in the same sector who interpret that separately when the minister says it's not exactly the disco's core function. Do you think that that alone by itself engenders any ambiguity?
Well, I believe the minister must have been misunderstood, and I will try to explain. We're considering the background of the minister. He probably wouldn't be able to say the language, the engineering language. But we must have a distinction between a manufacturer and a user of the product. The deployment of meter is a regulatory function. And I'm aware, and the minister did mention that there is what we call a meter asset provider regulation that was put in place last year. And when you look at the description of their job function, they are basically manufacturers. On the other hand, we have the same regulation, meter service provider, which the discos are. I mean, when I read it, my understanding is that, well, the private sector is being encouraged to be manufacturing meter, and that's one of their primary objectives of the regulator, to ensure that more people take part in the manufacture of this capital-intensive area. I mean, if you allow the disco, maybe some of them can set up an SPV, but it could become diversionary.
So what's the appropriate statement that should have come from the minister?
Well, I think he should have drawn a distinction between the asset provider that is the manufacturer who will provide the appliance like prepaid meter, because it's an elaborate technology.